In this video, we'll be adding the coloured layers to our underpainting using oils. Hi, I'm Marion Dutton. Now, if you missed part 1, the underpainting, you can find a link to that video in the description box below. And if you'd like to paint along with me, you can grab your free tracing, your free reference photo, and your free PDF material guide so you know exactly what materials I'll be using to do this painting. Okay, so let's begin to add those coloured layers. Okay, our underpainting is completely dry, and this is the reference photo we are using, and it's from Pixabay. Now, I don't want to do the same background as what's actually on the reference photo, so we're going to begin by mixing some colours. Now, I'm going to go with an orange complementary background to that lovely blue dress. So we're going to start by mixing a couple of varieties of orange. I'm going to start with a nice vibrant orange using some cadmium orange, and I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson into that. So we've got a real deep orange there now. Next, I want to take some of the orange and we're going to mute that slightly. So we've got a nice vibrant orange, and then we're going to come down and mute that slightly with a very small amount of ultramarine blue, and I do mean a very small amount. And that will kind of dull down that orange a little bit. And then into that we're going to add some white. Now I have two whites here. I have titanium white and some mixing white. This is zinc white, and I'm going to add the mixing white to that colour. And this zinc white will just lighten the colour without making it look too pastel. Now I want to take some of this colour and I want to grey it down even further, really neutralise that by adding a little bit more of the ultramarine blue. And this time I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white. So we've got some lovely varieties of orange, and of course we've also got cadmium orange as well if we want to use that straight from the tube. Now, one of the other colours I want to mix in advance is a nice blue colour, and we're going to start with some cobalt blue. Now I don't want it so vibrant, so I'm actually going to use a little orange to neutralise that colour, and into the mixing white to make that lighter. Again, I'm going to add, that still seems a little vibrant, so I'm going to add a little more of that cadmium orange. And again, that greys the colour down, the complementary colours, so it greys that colour down. And these are going to be the colours that I want to use in the background. Those are the pre-mixes. Everything else we will mix as we go. I'm using Zest It Clear Medium today, which is a fat medium, but you could use something like a walnut oil or a linseed oil. And we're going to begin oiling out. I'm using a nice soft brush to apply a layer of oil over the entire canvas. Take a paper towel and wipe away the excess. You want a very thin coat. I'm going to begin with our dull orange tone. I'm using a nice flat brush, and we'll start at this lighter area. I'm also going to brush very lightly over those skin tones. Keeping those brush strokes very, very loose and allowing the colours to fade into that white vignette. And then finally picking up some of that vibrant orange, just to dance a few little brighter spots. Using a clean flat, I'm going to go into a little of our blue, and again just dance some of those colours towards the edge of the painting. I'm going to wipe that brush clean and very lightly use a very feathery stroke to blend these tones, trying not to lose those lovely pockets of colour. I'm switching to my dome blender just to soften a few areas. Be careful not to overblend. You really want to keep those lovely different pockets of colour. And then finishing with a mop for a really nice soft blend. Cleaning that dome blender and taking that to the edge to make sure we've got a really soft outer edge to try and create that lovely vignette effect. Taking a little bit of white now and using that dome blender. We're now going to do a little bit of splattering, and for that we need our medium. I'm going to come to one side. I'm using a fan brush, taking a little bit of this orange and thinning that down. We're going to be pulling the bristles back to create a lovely splattering effect. Change the colours. Using this dull colour here, make sure all the skin area has been covered. First we're going to add a shadow, and for that we're going to take some of this vibrant orange and add a little blue to that. And this will give us a really nice shadow tone. Using that underpainting as a map, I'm going to begin adding some shadows. Use the dome blender to gently soften one tone into the next. Next we'll take a little titanium white and a very small amount of yellow ochre. And this will give us a lovely highlight colour. Picking out areas on the skin where you can pop a highlight. Softening and blending into the colours underneath. For the dress, we're going to begin with some ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt umber for a nice dark blue colour. Putting this on lovely and thin. So the dress has gone on nice and transparently, and we can now add a shadow. I can still see all of my underpainting, so we're going to add a shadow. For that, I'm going to use some ultramarine blue and a little ivory black, using the underpainting as a map. Taking some of that mixing white and adding that to the colour for a lighter blue. And we'll use that now for our highlights. Adding just a little more white to that mixture for some final highlights. For our hair, we're going to use some yellow ochre and a little bit of burnt sienna. Using just burnt umber for the shadows. For the highlights, we'll use this lovely light colour that we made earlier, which is the white and a little yellow ochre. For her wellies, we're going to begin with a little yellow ochre and some cadmium yellow. Taking a little bit of that colour into the water. Taking titanium white and some of that yellow for a highlight. Mixing a blue-grey now, using some white, a very small amount of black and a little bit of the blue. And using white to highlight. These final highlights go on very thick. Moving to the umbrella now, we want to mix a few colours. I'm going to begin with some titanium white and a very small amount of alizarin crimson, and we're going to make a really nice pale pink, titanium white, and a very tiny amount of sap green for a nice pale green colour, titanium white, a very small amount of cobalt blue. Starting in the pink and using a flat brush. Now I don't want to lose the colour underneath. We want to be able to still see hints of that. So I'm going to do a bit of a hit and miss stroke. And this is going to give us the effect of some transparency. Next with the green. And finally with the blue. I'm going to add a little extra blue. A little extra green. And a little extra pink. For the umbrella handle, we'll use a grey colour and white to highlight. Going back to our pink mixture, I'm going to add just a little medium now as we start to detail the umbrella. And into white to really start to bring the highlights. Moving back to our original blue colour, I'm going to add a little more blue into that. We'll get a few little ripples. A little bit of that original orange colour as well. And finally add in some more white. Finishing off any final highlights now. Just using white now, very carefully adding the suggestion of a little rain. I don't want to lose all the splatters. Back to that dome blender, and I just want to soften this outer edge. And I think we'll call that a finished painting. I really do hope you've enjoyed this painting as much as I have, and that you'll have a go at it for yourself. Can I remind you, if you are enjoying these tutorials and you are getting value from these lessons, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And again, add your comments down below and let me know what kind of paintings you'd like to see on this channel. YouTube algorithm rewards channels with high engagement, so your comments and your feedback is always appreciated. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again in the next video.